Okay, let me get myself seated here. Now, I had a little request from someone to let me get my okay. What this is a little pendant that this person wanted me to do, and it's sort of like a, it says it's like a tribal pendant, but I believe it's more like a well, that's what basically it is. Of course, there's thousands of tribal pendants that you can do, but he was showing me, this was a picture he had of one. He said, "Can you do this for me?" And I looked at it and I said, "Yeah, that's no problem." That's as you can see, it's very small. It's a piece of 3/4 inch by 3/4 inch piece by 3 inches. That's 3/4. And I'm doing this as a favor for him, not as a necessarily a project that most people will do. In other words, in such a way. But when someone asks you to do something, you want to kind of look at the dimensions. Now, what we have here is a very crude figure, is what it is, and these are the hands in the front. And if you look here, you can see there's not much of a facial thing when it comes to it, and it has the little thing in the back here, in other words, and then one forward like this, and then we have that. So how would we go about recreating something like this when someone gives you a picture? And when we take the actual piece that we're going to do it out of, which is just 3/4 inch by 3/4 inch by 3 inches, and see, it just about fits right. So what would you would first thing you would do would kind of take your front a little bit and draw your little figure. Basically, it's just sort of like this, in other words. And then it has the little face up here, and then about halfway there you have your stuff. But it is sort of tapers. If you look at this, it sort of tapers down a little bit as you look at the piece, in other words. I kick this over just a little bit as you taper the piece just a little bit. So the first thing we would want to do as we look at this is to take and just sort of it's not going to be this way, and we're going to taper it down a little bit right here. See? Because this will not be a straight, and this is how you taper it just a little bit. You just go from side to side, and look at that. There you see. Now, what we want to do is sort of, if you put your piece kind of next to it a little bit, then you can kind of get a general idea of how. Now you can actually take this and put it on there and do it, but actually I'm just going to take it, and this is the piece right here where the bottom piece comes, where the face is all that in. And somewhere basically kind of about in here is where your hands are, okay? And then you have a little thing that goes down here which attaches to your feet down here, and then you just kind of that. So basically, this is really a very simple type deal, and we're just going to kind of come from that bottom there and go around a little bit. Okay. All right. So if we're going to do something like that, let me get my knife. Golly. I'm trying to show this, and it's kind of difficult in such a way, but it's all right. Okay. Now, basically, we just kind of shape this at the top up here. And if you notice now, it tapers down a little bit is what it does. It tapers from both sides down a little bit. Now you can cut it out like that. And then in the back here you have a thing. But the first thing we want to do is we just want to come here and we want to just sort of cut in that area and separate our little head type from our I'm just going to take this out of the way because it's just going to get in the way. We separate our head right here. And then you have like a little thing like this, in other words, that separates it once again. So we're going to take that and we're going to come from the inside, already breaking a little bit. That's okay. We're just deepening a little bit more. All right, let me get this where we can kind of all right, so we're just kind of giving the little thing here. And now let's kind of draw this out just a little bit. We don't have much of a nose as far as, but I'm going to give it a little bit more of a nose, and then it's got a little thing up here that kind of goes down to the eyes. But let me go ahead and there we go. And then we're deepening that a little bit more as it goes along. I like to give things a little bit more of a thing. So, okay, now we also are going to have this little thing up here, and it's when I say thing, it's just like little parts of it. In other words. Okay, so basically our little face is going to be in here where it is. And what they sort of do is they actually come up with a sort of a thing like this, in other words, where this is basically the nose right in here. So it's sort of so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and cut that. We're going to go ahead and cut that. and take it out. And we're going to cut that. And these are the age lines that we have here. And we're going to give it a little bit deeper concept of the nose here. And then we're going to come in with our little eyes into here. These are sort of almost like idols in a way when you get to them. And then you come and you take your nose off right in here. See? And I'm going to give it a little bit more of a deeper concept of All right. And then we're going to just kind of come up here just a little bit and make a little I'm going to give it a little bit more detail than what the original one I saw. It didn't have much detail as far as the nose and the things like that. Sort of like this. And then we're gonna cut there. Bring the features out just a little bit more, as we say. Sort of like that. Now, across here will come the hands. And as we look at that, basically the hands just sort of come down here as a way of and also we have the ears over here. As this comes down, this sort of joins with a thing that comes back here. But we make it the ears. And this comes down back over here. And it comes and joins this in here like this. Okay? Now I'll show you how we basically do that. And of course the face is in here. So let's go ahead. Now this doesn't go all the way to the back. So what we do is we come up here, all the way up here where the, I am so sorry, this is about to break on me. This is not doing well. I knew it. I can't stand trying to do something and okay. Now the arm actually comes all the way up here. It comes down and joins with the, so what we have here is basically this here. This is the arm here, and I'll show you that what we're talking about. It's pretty basic stuff. None of this is really what you call, and then it comes here and it does like this. See, whoops, I'm sorry. And then you just sort of get a little, these things are not real detailed, as we say. And this actually comes across here like this. I tell you what I'm gonna do. I hate to do this, but I've got to take. It's hard, this is really small and it's hard to hold. There we go. Okay. And the same thing. Let me get my pencil. Oh, there it is. Okay. And you come up here, and the arm comes down here like this, and then goes across. And then goes across this way. So you cut like this here, and we're going to bring that arm back, but we want to get it situated here. Okay? And here's our little hands, see? This is where our little hands are going to be. So we're going to cut here. Like I told you, the detail is very, very small in these pieces like this, in other words. So all it does is basically come here like this. And then we can kind of just cut it like that, see? Where from the side it looks like the hands are coming down, in other words. Okay. Now it doesn't go in the back. It just extends through the time there. So what we're going to do is we're going to do this. There we go. Now I know this is a little bit, and then this from here comes back here where the, now when I do this you may be able to see what I'm talking about. See how the hands kind of come down, the arms kind of come down, and then this goes to the back here and makes like a little loop, not a loop but a little sash, and comes all the way over to here and does the same thing, and then comes this way, and that's what makes just a little bit of a definition of the ears, a little bit. You'll see it as I get through with it. Okay. You see it. You're seeing a little bit of the stuff. In other words, as we go along here, and as this comes down over here, you come from the outside, just like this, and you make this. Where it comes from the outside, where then it, let me come back with this a little bit, okay? These little pendants and stuff, a lot of times they're a little bit unusual to see at first when you start working with them, or you start kind of looking at them, but then you kind of see what they're talking about. Here's the face, here's the arms. This is like a little thing in the back of it, in other words. And then when you come to the back, you have a little thing that comes all the way down here from the back here. See this? Or comes all the way, and then it loops here. You have a little thing here that you do. I know that is a little bit odd the way a lot of these are made, but remember, a lot of these things are made from primitive statues and stuff like that, that there wasn't a lot of architectural brilliance as far. They were very, very primitive in the design of these things. So that's what you find a lot of times. Okay? I know this is an odd deal, but then you begin to kind of see. Remember, like a tiki, a lot of times the tikis that you see are very, very odd shape. Pieces, and so okay, you see that? See, as you can see here, the little hands are now also in the front. What you do, you have this little thing that goes back here, and then goes across here, and then kind of goes underneath here, and goes like this, and then from here you have a little, and then this kind of it's a little bit hard to explain this. This is a weird, and I'm gonna make a little cut right here, and cut a little thing right there. There we go. And then this comes down here, and actually it begins to taper from this point down. Okay? It begins to taper down like here as we do this. Okay. In fact, this whole area in here begins to taper down. Like that. See how it tapers down? Okay. All right. Now, let's go ahead and let's kind of redefine. I'm just going to kind of bring this down just a little bit and make our arms just a little bit thinner. There's a lot of detail in this stuff, but it's really crude detail. It is very, very crude in the way that it is presented. But once again, as I've told you, the primitive way of doing things, and I'm going to go ahead and just make this right here. I'm going to come down all the way here and come down all the way here. And I'm going to just go ahead and make this little part right here till it comes down to here. It's very, very primitive the way they made these things, but I guess there's a lot of different reasons for making them the way they did. I don't know how to explain it. I'm not a connoisseur in primitive, especially tribal or Indian. I don't know if this is Indian. He said tribal, but probably most likely it's has something to do with the Indian, because there's a lot of relics of Indian descent that is tribal. But I don't know. He didn't. I guess it was a he. I don't know. It might have been a she. I get a lot of letters from people all over the country. And you see, as we bring that together, see, that will be. Okay, we're going to thin that up a little bit over there. But you see, and then it's just sort of, this all sort of comes around, and then this sort of tapers off in here like this. In other words, just like that. And I know to a lot of people go, whoa, this is strange looking. Yeah, it is. I'm not going to admit it. Some of it is strange looking, but there, like I said, you remember what is that, the cliffs of Dover or whatever they call it, or the statues that they have on the islands, you know, that they have the, and they're rather odd looking. They are. I mean, they are odd looking, but they have a certain art to them, as we might say. I don't know. A lot of people might not look at it to it as art in a lot of ways, but some people do. So it's sort of like that. In other words, I don't think it's I think that's the cliffs of Dover. I'm not a. All right, I'm gonna end this right now because of the simple fact that we've used quite a bit of time, and then we will start over again. And as you can see now, it's starting to make a little sense, perhaps, to us. And so anyway, we'll keep doing this and we'll come back.